So let's go ahead and compare the iPhone XR, an older device, with the newer, more powerful iPhone 16. Let's see what's different and some things that probably are just the same. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the iPhone XR was launched in 2018, 6 years before the 2024 iPhone 16. The size and the general overall look stay the same on the front. The iPhone XR is heavier than the iPhone 16, almost by a full ounce. But the build quality, it remains the same. Glass front, glass back, aluminum frame. So they both feel pretty good in the hand. Both of these devices share the eSIM technology. But the XR actually has the nano SIM card slot, the physical one. The new iPhone 16 does not have that, so that's an advantage on the XR. Both of these are dust and water resistant, except the iPhone 16 is IP68 versus IP67, which is a difference of 1 meter to 6 meters on these devices. Not too much of a difference. Both of these still have the 60 hertz refresh rate, so there's no 120 hertz, no 90 hertz upgrade. The display stayed the same size too, 6.1 inches. Now for the software, both of these are running the same software, 18.3 as of this video, but the XR, it was launched with iOS 12, and it's probably not going to get another update. It's probably going to stay on iOS 18, while the 16 will get way more years of updates, probably till at least iOS 24 probably. Chipset, Apple A12 Bionic on the XR, Apple A18. Obviously, it's the iPhone 16 is just way more powerful to run pretty much every apps without any hiccups. The iPhone XR started off at 64 gigs with the base storage, while the iPhone 16 has 128 gigs. Not too much of a big difference, double it, but the standard has only been doubled over 6 years, so not a huge improvement for the starting base storage. But there is a big difference in RAM. The XR has 3 gigs of RAM. The iPhone 16 more than doubles that. It has 8 gigs of RAM. And that's pretty much across the board now for all iPhones. So 3 gigs of RAM seems very low by today's standard, but it's probably not gonna matter if you're just using everyday apps and you're not a hardcore user. That's the theme of these devices. The XR is older hardware, older processor, lower RAM, but everyday apps like email, web browsing, messaging, FaceTime, AirDrop, all the basics, YouTube, social media, all that stuff is gonna work perfectly fine. If you don't expect lightning fast speed, it'll work though. Camera system, the XR had that single camera in the back, 12 megapixel shooter. iPhone 16 has the 48 megapixel main camera and the 12 megapixel ultra wide. Both shooting 4K though. So it's the setup is going to be obviously nicer, better quality overall video and pictures on the 16, but the XR is no slouch by any means. The pictures and videos are still going to be good. You can still shoot in 4K on both of these. Selfie camera, 1080p shooter on the XR versus 4K on the iPhone 16. Bluetooth 5.0 on the XR, 5.3 on the iPhone 16. Not too much of an improvement, but it's there. We do have a change in charging technology. We are rocking the old school Lightning on the XR versus USB Type-C on the iPhone 16. So that's a huge difference that somebody will notice right away, because charging is probably the thing that we worry about the most when we're running out of juice, obviously, and that's going to make a big difference with depending on which charger you have. But Apple is moving all its devices to USB Type-C, so the XR does feel very outdated in that aspect. You might need to have 2 different types of chargers nowadays if you haven't made that full jump. Both of these have Face ID. The notch on the iPhone XR is kind of big by today's standards versus the dynamic island, the iPhone 16, but we still haven't moved to full-fledged all screen display. So the 10R doesn't feel that outdated, honestly. Battery life is going to be better on the iPhone 16 nowadays. It has a bigger overall battery. You had a 2900 milliamp on the 10R, 3500 on the iPhone 16. Both of them have wireless Qi technology. Both of them charge 50% in 30 minutes. And that's pretty much the important part for the battery life. Not too much of an improvement on the iPhone 16. The 10R still holds its own. Battery life, it just depends if when you get a really used model, the battery life might not be 100%. So if you decide to get the 10R, try to get one with at least 90% battery life. And most importantly, pricing. The iPhone 16 comes in with that standard $800 price tag, while the 10R is not sold anymore, obviously. But if you wanted to get one used, you can get one for less than $150. Just try to find one with a good battery life. But other than that, you're pretty much getting 80% of what the iPhone 16 does. If you get the 10R, it still feels like a modern device. It has a single camera in the back, but it's a very good camera for video and for pictures. You're only really getting physically wise is an extra camera on the iPhone 16, and some of us don't even use the extra wide angle camera. We got the notch on the 10R versus the dynamic island on the 16. Not much of a difference, but most importantly to me is going to be the charging system. Lightning versus USB Type-C. That really makes the iPhone 10R really old school, because physically that's the one thing you're gonna notice right away is the charging port. But other than that, the RAM and the processor are gonna be older on the 10R. So if you're really using your phone a lot, you're gonna notice a slowdown here and there. But everything else is gonna work the same. The same software is there. And yeah, it's just the 10R still feels kind of modern by today's standards, but internally it is kind of slower than the iPhone 16.